Hello and welcome to our presentation on Texas Physical Therapy, Supervision and Delegation. My name is Zachary Edgar and my company is called Therapy Comply. Therapy Comply is a membership-based compliance firm dedicated to physical, occupational, and speech therapy practices. Members can access our wide selection of guides and sample policies on federal and state law, along with our guides and updates on private payers. Members can also simply email us at any time with any compliance or billing questions or arrange a phone call. We also offer more comprehensive services like compliance and billing audits, custom policies and procedures, and credentialing. This presentation is for informational purposes only. None of the material is intended as legal advice. Statutes and regulations are all subject to change. The PT's professional responsibilities include, but are not limited to, the performance and documentation of the initial physical therapy examination and evaluation of the patient, interpretation of the practitioner's referral, development and documentation of the plan of care, implementation of or directing implementation of the plan of care, delegation of tasks to appropriate personnel, direction and supervision of the PTA and aide, completion and accuracy of the patient's physical therapy record, performance and documentation of the reexamination and reevaluation of the patient as described in the section, and when necessary, modification of the plan of care, discharge of a patient or discontinuation of treatment, development of any follow-up plan for the patient, and collaboration with members of the healthcare team when appropriate. The PT holds primary responsibility for the physical therapy care rendered under his or her supervision. It is the responsibility of each PT to determine the number of PTAs and/or aides he or she can supervise safely. A PTA may be assigned responsibilities by the supervising PT to provide physical therapy services as specified in the physical therapy plan of care, which may include but are not limited to preparing patients' treatment areas and equipment, implementing treatment programs that include therapeutic exercises, gait training and techniques, ADL training techniques, administrative of therapeutic heat and cold, administration of ultrasound, administration of therapeutic electric current, administration of ultraviolet, application of traction, performance of intermediate venous compression, application of external bandages, dressings, and support, performance of goniometric measurement, modifying treatment techniques as indicated in the plan of care, respond to acute changes in physiological state, teach other healthcare providers, patients, and families to perform selected treatment procedures and functional activities, and identify architectural barriers and report them to the physical therapist. PTAs may screen patients designated by a PT as possible candidates for physical therapy services. Screening entails the collection of uniform information from all patients screened using predetermined standardized formats. The information collected is delivered to the supervising PT. Only a PT may determine whether further intervention for patients screened is necessary. A PTA may not specify and/or perform definitive, evaluative, and assessment procedures, alter a plan of care or goals, recommend wheelchairs, orthosis, prosthesis, or other assistive devices, or alterations to architectural barriers to persons, or sign progress notes which design or modify the plan of care. A supervising PT is responsible for and will participate in the patient's care. A supervising PT must be on call and readily available when physical therapy services are being provided. A PT may assign responsibilities to a PTA to provide physical therapy services based on the PTA's training that are within the scope of activities listed above. The supervising PT must hold documented conferences with the PTA regarding the patient. The PT is responsible for determining the frequency of the conferences consistent with accepted standards of practice. The provision of physical therapy treatment by a PTA or an aide may not continue if the PT has not performed a reevaluation, at minimum once every 60 days after treatment is initiated, or at a higher frequency as established by the physical therapist, and in response to the change in the patient's medical status that affects the physical therapy plan of care, when a change in the physical therapy plan or care is needed, or prior to any plan discharged. The PTA must include the name of the supervising PT in his documentation of each treatment session. A licensed PTA shall use the title Physical Therapy Assistant or the initials PTA. No other titles or initials are conferred by a license from the board. As of now, Medicare requires that therapists in private practice or employed by a physician group be on site when an assistant is treating a patient. The 2025 proposed physician fee schedule will change that rule to general supervision so that therapists can be off-site when assistants are treating patients, though therapists will need to be available by phone. For states with more restrictive supervision levels, such as direct supervision, those therapy services are always furnished to the extent that is permitted under state law. And if it's required that you be on site by state law, you will still need to be on site when treating a Medicare patient. Most payers and state Medicaid programs defer to the state's physical or occupational therapy board rules for the supervision of assistants, but may require more frequent reassessments. TRICARE follows the Medicare rules and requires on-site supervision and have yet to propose a change to that rule. Physical therapy aide or physical therapy technician means a person who aids in the practice of physical therapy under on-site supervision of a PT or PTA and whose activities require on-the-job training. An aide may be assigned responsibilities by the supervising PT or PTA to provide services as specified in the physical therapy plan of care within the scope of on-the-job training with the supervision by a PT or PTA who is on the premises and readily available to respond in person. Aides may not write or sign any physical therapy documents in the permanent record. However, an aide may enter quantitative data for tasks delegated by a supervising PT or PTA. An aide may not perform evaluative or assessment activities, initiate physical therapy treatment to include exercise instruction, or write or sign physical therapy documents in the permanent record. A PT or PTA must provide on-site supervision of an aide and remain within reasonable proximity during the aide's interaction with a patient. On-site supervision means that the PT or PTA is on the premises and readily available to respond. Aide should be identified as PT aide or physical therapy aide on a clear name tag. Medicare, TRICARE, and most Medicaid programs expressly state not to bill for the services of aides. Most private payers state that services must be performed by a licensed therapist or an assistant under their supervision. Do not bill for services provided by aides unless the payer guide expressly allows you to. I've never seen a payer allow billing for aide services and really would recommend never doing it. Thank you for watching, and please visit the website for a lot more comprehensive information on physical, occupational, and speech therapy compliance and billing. Please like and subscribe. We'll be adding many more videos soon.